All right, ladies and gentlemen, the Stanley Cup Finals start tomorrow with your defending Stanley Cup champions, the Tampa Bay Lightning, for some team from Canada. So the Rays bring up Wander Franco. The 4th of July is a week from today. TSG is out, but he has a good excuse, so join in on the fun with Pooh Bear, the Chief. I am beloved. Gentlemen, let's go. This is the Man Event. Yo. So we got to take a quick second and wish a very happy birthday to Mr. Dig, also known as TSG.
Happy birthday, TSG. So we got a streak of birthdays coming up. We are not making this up, people. TSG's real birthday was this week. Mine happens to be next week, and B-Love's happens to be the week after that. It's just a bang, bang, bang.
Yeah. And hey, listen, I got to take an opportunity real quick because the 4th of July is coming up a week from today. And a lot of you watching our show right now, you're going to wonder, how do I make the best steak on the 4th of July? So I want to direct you real quick to our YouTube channel where you can catch our Steak Day short where your defending champion.
Oh, boy, here we go.
Is going to teach you.
This is why. This is the only reason he's bringing this up. Has nothing to do with the 4th of July or video views. It has to do with people. He wants people to see him be judged number one in the steak cooking competition.
Hey.
Oh, man. You're the same guy last week talking about cooking bologna. So I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
Dude, listen.
You can have bologna on the 4th of July.
Listen, Pooh Bear, I've been looking at recipes for smoking a bologna on my Joe.
Dear God.
It's going to be legit. We're having that as a football Sunday meal in the near future. I'm gonna do one first. I'm not gonna test it on you guys, but I'm gonna smoke a bologna, and then we'll slice it up.
All right. Hey, speaking of which, I talked to Chef Javi this week, and he ran his first trial run of his attempt to beat Chick-fil-A in his chicken sandwich. He said it came out amazing. He's really excited about it. So sounds like he's on to something. He still wants to do a couple more practice runs before we actually film it and put it to the test. And he would like an independent third-party judge present.
No.
Not associated with the Man Event.
Sounds like Chef Javi.
Yes, it does.
That sounds like Chef Javi.
Hey, I want to circle back.
It can't be Lewis, okay? It can't be Lewis.
Birthdays. Let's circle back to the birthday thing. We got off that pretty quick here. So I'm trying to figure out what major event took place 9 months ago. They brought all these birthdays on today.
Well, for me, it's Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day is the July birthdays. Late June, July.
Really? September?
No,
I mean,
that's
February?
not possible.
No.
Yeah.
9
Oh,
months.
wait a minute. No, I'm sorry. No, that's December birthdays. No, it's actually 10. You got to count 10. You guys are all fathers. You should know this. But no, you're right. That's Christmas. Those are the Christmas babies. So it'd be. Now I'm all screwed up.
So I feel like we're like in Halloween, possibly. Everybody's playing games.
There it is. Which is my dad's birthday. So that's that. Dad's birthday is early November. There you go.
Oh
yep.
man!
All my kids happen to have a 6-month window where it's 10 months after my anniversary.
I don't know how that works.
Coincidence.
I don't know how that. So the other thing I came across this week as I've been researching the fried bologna is there seems to be this trend. You guys are going to die when I tell you this, that people are doing hot dog burnt ends.
Like
yes.
brisket burn-ins.
Yeah, yes. Your reactions are perfect.
Dude, I feel like this is just an excuse for people that burnt a hot dog, and they're like, "Oh no, the ends are the best part." And
they're basically dicing up the hot dogs, right? And if you've ever made burnt ends, they basically simmer or swim in this bath of like brown sugar, honey, barbecue sauce. But they're putting hot dogs in it and then putting it on the smoker and calling them hot dog burn ends.
I don't know, man. It doesn't really. I don't know. I'm going to try it. I'd try it, but it doesn't sound good.
Right? Yeah. I'm with Chief. I'll give it a go. I'm not going to cook it, but if somebody prepares it for me,
if Chef Javi cooked it,
I'll eat it.
Cooked it.
It really doesn't matter what Chef Javi cooks. I'll eat it. I'll put that out.
Well, listen, I digress. So we've had an exciting week since our last show, and we're going to get into a number of things here. But most importantly, your Tampa Bay Lightning have earned an opportunity to defend their Stanley Cup title. Now, it did not come easy going to 7 games in the conference finals. I just figured let's talk a little bit about that conference finals. We go like all through these ups and downs all week is what was crazy, right? And
you had the 8-0 victory earlier in the week. A 3-2 come from behind loss, right? They almost won the 3-2 game. There was a 1-0 game in there. It just I guess that was game 7. But having game 7 in your own building, in town on a Friday night, it really sounds great. If you weren't if you should have won the series before, with the Lightning specific situation, they probably should have won this series earlier. Before it got to 7 games. But had you told me, hey, you're going to have a game 7 at home, on a Friday night, sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah, sounds like a great Friday night.
How stressful were those final 2 minutes? About 2.5 minutes, they pull the goalie. Yeah. My son's sitting on the couch next to me. We're on the edge of our seats. And it was just
I was standing.
We could not get we stood for the final minute. I said, don't stand too soon.
I was standing from about 8 minutes in.
Oh my gosh. Dude, we could not get that goal, get that puck away from our side of the goal. It's just a battle.
Well, Chief, in that last 2.5 minutes, I don't know who that defenseman was that had the puck trapped against the boards.
Yes.
Behind their net. And there was 4 or 5 Islanders piled on this guy, and he's just got the puck jammed in. I've never heard of that dude. It wasn't him. It was somebody else. I think it started with an M. But that dude earned his pay in those 2.5 minutes because that killed a lot of that time where they had the extra skater.
Dude, our goalie during that time also earned it. Did you see he was doing acrobatics?
Oh, dude.
The puck was moving left, it was moving right. He was all over the place. At one point, I thought his shin pad stopped but it was like a went from the air. He had his leg up. Yeah. I thought he blocked. I said, "Good night, man. He is all over the place."
Yeah, he's incredible. That's why he's the best goalie in the world, right there.
By far.
He showed it. He showed it right there.
Yeah.
Now the next up is another spectacular goalie in Carey Price. He is going to give the Lightning some fits. This is prepared to be frustrated again for at least 4 games.
All right, at least 4 games.
Well, the Canadians are not the best team in hockey. They made it to the finals. They showed up when you need to. Right. I'm not exactly sure where they were the rest of the season.
Well, it's similar to the Buccaneers situation. To make a football analogy, the Buccaneers were not the best team in the NFC last season, but they got hot at the right time. They were playing the best November and December football, and the same thing with the Canadians. They were playing the best hockey the last 4 or 5 weeks of the season and got into the playoffs where anything can happen, put out a couple of fantastic teams. Nobody thought they were going to get past Vegas. Vegas was a fast, high-flying, high-scoring machine. And again, Price went in there and shut him down. That is, I'm telling you, this guy is going to be – he's done it all. Price has done everything. He's won a gold medal, all the accolades, goalie of the year, but he hasn't won that cup. So that's what he's going to be looking for.
Yeah, 2 points on that. First one is that I had it on good authority from Elvis himself just last week that the Knights were going to be in the finals with the Lightning. Of course, he was wrong on that one, but don't doubt Ellis when he tells you something. And my second point seems to have slipped me right now.
Nope.
It sounded good when I said, I know what it was. Is that, on my sheet here of topics that we are working on today, nowhere do I have the Bucks on this schedule and yet on this sheet, and yet we still found a way to get them onto the.
Man, it is a football first town. That is for sure. It is. We're on the verge of football season. I mean, I'm not ready for hockey season to be over. I'm not ready for baseball season to be over. But normally at this time of year, we're foaming at the mouth for anything Buccaneers related.
Sure, absolutely.
But it's Tampa Bay life, babe.
It is Tampa Bay life. We had some discussion last week about home ice advantage.
It's a real thing, apparently. It is a thing.
And I felt like I was the only one who was on board with home ice advantage. And not for nothing, but we did win a game 8-0 on our home ice.
Mm-hmm.
And we did pull out a 1-0 win on a shorthanded goal, nonetheless, at home. But if you watch that game, that arena was electric on Friday night. I think that has a lot to do with it.
It probably did. Strangely enough, talking about home ice, Cooper is asking because the Bell Center where the Canadians play. So for games 3 and 4, at least, the government of Canada has really limited the amount of people that could attend a game.
Yeah.
So Cooper is asking, he's like, listen, your team, you're in which football here is what hockey up there is like.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he's telling the commissioner and the mayor of Montreal, get more people in the stands. They haven't had a cup game in decades.
Yeah.
So here you have the opposing coach asking the government of Canada, let this happen. So we'll see what happens. But he knows that a rowdy crowd is probably not going to be much of his to help him.
Well, no, games 1 and 2 are here, 3 and 4 are there. So he doesn't want to win the Stanley Cup in front of an empty stadium.
Hey, I like the way you're thinking, Chief.
Me too. I just hope you didn't jinx it.
Nah,
so Chief, you hit on this. The Canadians, they did not have a great regular season. I think they barely got into the playoffs, but they've been the underdog in every single series they've had so far, including this one. Right now, Vegas has them, the Lightning, at a 72% chance of winning a best-of-7 series. So I'm not a fan of jinxing things, but I'm looking forward to game 1 tomorrow night.
Well, the matchup to watch, besides Price and goal, who, like, again, Vasilevsky is the best goalie in on the planet. Price is probably playing better than everybody but Vasilevsky right now. Obviously, the last 2 goalies, but all through these playoffs, he's been spectacular. But besides that matchup, the thing to watch out for is the Lightning's power play, who they're scoring close to 40% of the time, which is unheard of, especially this deep into the playoffs, versus the Canadians' penalty killing. They're shutting down about 93% of penalties. So they're going to need to they need to stay out of the penalty box. Both teams do. But it's going to be more advantageous for the Lightning to try to, beat that penalty kill team, because that's going to be the matchup to watch right there. Boom.
Well, dude, speaking of penalties, like, I had all of my excuses written down in the case we didn't win game 7.
Yeah.
But dude, the hit that Nikita Kucherov took in that game 6 that knocked him out of the game. Could you have imagined? I mean, he was the only shift he played all game. Thankfully, he played significant minutes in game 7. But, like, you're looking at your star player not available for the Stanley Cup Finals, and that for a call that never happened and a fine that never came after it.
Well, he did get a $5,000 fine. The Brazil, or was it Brazil? Brazil. I think he was the hitter. He did get a $5,000 fine. He did not get a suspension, and I think most Lightning fans were looking for that, just for retaliation wise. It would seem like a cheap shot. But I did hear Dave Anderchek, ex-Lightning captain, won the cup back with him in 2004 or 2008. When they win it? 4? Whenever they won it the first time. I think it was 04. And he mentioned, that probably wasn't a suspendable hit in the playoffs. It's not something you want to start doing because there's going to be other hits very similar, and you're going to have no stars playing in any of these series. So, coming from him, I'll side with him and his knowledge and his awareness of what's going on, and he's really close with the league. He's a radio host for the Lightning post-game show, I think. So, whatever. His opinion weighs heavy. He says no, so I'll decide with that one.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, Jim, any parting thoughts on this upcoming series?
Let's go Bulls. Let's bring home that cup.
Man, could you imagine if 2021 starts off like the same way as it did last year? Like we still have
watermark.
Baseball to go. We still have football to go. All of these teams in contention, which it's been a up and down week 2 for the Tampa Bay Rays.
Yeah.
We just came off of a 7-game losing streak to the White Sox and the Mariners. Now the White Sox do look pretty good so far, but to lose 4 in a row to the Mariners is pretty much a gut punch.
That was bad.
And then to come home and have the Red Sox put one up on us too. But we turn around. We won the last 4 games. Today could be 5. And in the meantime, we get our first look at Wander Franco. What do you guys think?
Man, he got called up literally seconds after we got off the air last week.
I know.
We get done recording the show, and I get the alert on my phone. Rays expected to call Wander Franco up on Tuesday, who did not disappoint in his debut. What an amazing debut.
Man, you couldn't have scripted it better. A double, a home run, a 3-run homer. He played pretty good defensively too. Unfortunately, that's the last hit he's had.
Negative, sir. He just hit one. He's on third base right now. We are filming this. Good. We're filming this a little early. It is in the 6th inning of the Rays and Angels game on Sunday. So that's the little joke right there. He did get a hit in this game.
Yeah. Okay. Finally.
So, but I mean, there's an adjustment. You come up, you're 20 years old. You come up in big leagues. You've been raking all through single A, double A, triple A. You can't be stopped, and all of a sudden you go up against some major league pitching. Yeah, you're going to find some holes in your swing.
Well, I think too that the breaking balls at this level are. I mean, he's struggling with the breaking ball. I don't know if you guys have really been watching his at bats. But he is. You remember how much Longo used to struggle with the breaking ball?
Yes, and Kiermaier still does.
Throw the ball straight,
and the fast pitch, and
So I will say, in Franco's defense, he has been hitting. Just laser shot. He hit a laser shot to third base yesterday, right at Rendon, who just. There's not much more you can do about that. You hit it as hard as you could, right down the line. Third baseman just happened to be positioned correctly. He's hit a couple more that have been really nice ropes to center field or to the outfield. Again, outfielders were able to get to him. That kind of stuff. Those stuff is going to fall with some experience, with some time. He'll get there. Yeah. Not worried.
Do you think that – obviously they bring him up in the middle of a pretty significant losing streak. Do you think that had anything to do with it, or was it just time, based on the arbitration schedule?
It was definitely time. That ended last week. So I think it was probably a combination. You had a need in the infield with Taylor Walls got hurt. Was going to go on the IL for a little bit. So you had a need for another infielder, and he passed his the clock. So here he is. I
think the other thing to consider is they bring him up with just over a week before the All-Star break, and that's actually really important, for him to come up here, get some big league experience, and see how that pitching is, and that gives him a chance to work on it.
Right.
Before the rest of the season, comes back into play. So I think, timing is everything. So everything factored into it, I believe. It was just, the right time for him.
I agree with that. And
injury or not.
They probably looked at things like, what does our homestand look like? This is kind of a long homestand for them for a little bit before they go on the road, mix it in with the days off from the All-Star break to give him a rest. So you're right. You're probably right about that. They're very smart when it comes to looking at this kind of stuff. G-Man just went ding-dong for 3.
Good night, man. Right now I'm looking at G-Man on a 2-0 count. And he just called time.
Well, he's about to take the next pitch out. He's about to take the next one out.
This is going to be a 3-run homer. This will work out pretty good. So maybe we have a 5-game win streak after today. I'll tell you what. You talk about breaks, like you're expecting that spark, to hopefully come from Wander Franco, and they lose in his debut, even though he does really well. But the crazy thing to think about is what kind of turned the losing streak around was a walk-off wild pitch.
Oh.
Was that one of the craziest things you've ever seen?
I think all of those Red Sox wins were very strange.
Were very strange, yes. Yeah. But those are the kind of bounces that you need, or breaks that you need in the midst of a 7-game losing streak. So.
Oh, absolutely. And those are the types of things that turn around. You can kind of, mentally what happens to a lot of these guys is that they start to feel like, no matter what I do, I can't get it right. Right. It happens to all of us in our normal working lives. Right. So you have to think it happens to them as well. They're just human. And then you start to see a lucky thing happen. You some of those atom balls you're hitting right at the defenders start to fall. You think, okay, you can kind of see what Brandon Lau, he's a good example of that, where he can't hit left-handed pitching. And it's in his head. He hears it from probably all the reporters that keep asking him. Mm-hmm. Teammates probably aren't giving him too much of it. Batting coach might be giving him a little bit of that. Hey, you got to hit left-handed pitching. You got to look for this, look for that. And then you can kind of see it almost click with him. He starts to hit a looper that falls. Then he hits one the other way that he was late on, a mistake pitch and a mistake swing, a check swing that goes the other way. That kind of stuff that kind of starts to happen. And then, all right, and then he hits a 2-run bomb off of a left-hander. That kind of stuff, it just works funny that way.
So my thought is WWPS. What would Paulie say?
Have a wreck.
No. For advice, for hitting advice.
Keep your shoulder up.
There it is. Keep that shoulder up. That would be it. It doesn't matter what your streak was, how you were hitting, or anything else. That was a sole piece of advice.
That's right.
Keep that shoulder up. Keep that shoulder up, fellas.
Keep the shoulder up. Oh, my goodness.
So let's kind of segue a little bit. We've just brought up the All-Star break, and today the top 3 finalists at each position came out for the Major League Baseball All-Star voting. And if you don't know how that works, fan voting ended, I guess, Saturday. They tally that up. The top 3 players at each position, 9 players in the outfield, are now in like the finals of the fan ballot for who's going to start the All-Star game. Now, the reserves and the pitchers come later based on player ballots and some influence from the commissioner's office. Surprise, surprise. But here are the Rays with the best record in the AL East, the second best record, 1 game behind, in all of the American League, and not a single position player is in the top 3 of All-Star voting.
Hey, I got a couple of thoughts on that. So we're talking fans, okay? Number one, we're in a smaller market. We don't compete with LA. We're in a smaller market than New York. Than most of these other markets. Atlanta, they're all smaller than our market. It means the fan base is going to be smaller. So we're at a disadvantage on that one. Number 2, this is really not a team, based around a star. Honestly, this is a team. This is a really true a team event. What we got going on here during that win streak that we had right before the losing streak, I think it was a 9-game win streak. It was somebody different every night. Yeah. It wasn't that we had one guy that was on fire hitting 500. It was, this guy got on base and the next guy, was able to bring him in. But it was rotating. It was the top of the order. It was the bottom of the order. It was everything. And the defense, by the way, this defense is really pretty good.
Mm-hmm. It's very good.
The defense is very good. So then it's kind of an individual thing at the plate, it seems, but it was just one guy picking it up after the next. So yeah, I'm really not that surprised that, we don't have any, fan support, I don't want to say no support, I'm just saying, we don't really have that name, that big name, because we really are a team of, guys that everyone has to play.
Right. Our statistically, our best like category stat leader is going to be a Joey Wendell, right? He leads the Rays in batting average. He leads in, I think he leads in stolen bases. Maybe not. Anyway, so he's not a sexy name. He's not a national name. He's not even the best. He doesn't even have a specific position. The guy plays 5 different positions every week.
Yeah.
So it's very hard to develop that kind of highlight reel, like a Juan Soto or a Tatis Jr. I mean, of course, he's hitting 25, 26 home runs every season. So it's very hard for that kind of stuff to happen. But you're not on SportsCenter. You're not on the YouTube highlight reel for Google. It's just that doesn't happen. And to mix it in with the smaller market, Tampa fans, there's only 1 million in our county residents. How many of those are fans? Whereas like the city of New York's 10 million people just in the city.
Right.
So it's just hard to deal with all that kind of stuff.
Well, I mean, I guess you could make a lot of arguments then about like, are we looking at this the wrong way? Like, is the fan ballot really the way to go if you're going to be fair to truly the best players in Major League Baseball?
No, and that's why I like the way baseball does it, where they let the fans vote. You can pick your favorite player. You can pick, Derek Jeter probably got votes this year. You know what I mean? Because New York people, that's the way they vote. They vote for their favorite players throughout their lifetime. Even though
what you're saying is they're not baseball fans, they're Yankee fans.
Right. So you've got Yankee fans are going to be voting for I don't know who's playing. They'll have somebody hurt. Like I think Giancarlo Stanton's hurt right now. He doesn't have great stats. They're a terrible team right now. Not doing very much. They probably still voted for all the Yankee fans. Kind of like what you accused me of a couple of weeks ago, where I said that I voted 2 of my ballots were accurate as far as who I thought were the best players at each position, and then a couple of my ballots were just fanboy stuff. I was voting for Kevin Kiermaier in center field, knowing that he's nowhere near playing all-star level.
Wow.
So you get that happen, but that's why baseball has a right where they do that voting period to let the fans have their say, but then they have the players and the coaches come in and make it all right. They do they let the coaches select the pitchers based on who they know as being, the best pitching stats and having the best year. So it doesn't bother me too much.
If everything was even, if the playing field was even, who should the Rays have representing them at the All-Star game?
Based on statistics, like who's having a good year?
Who's the player that we have that should be there?
Well, I definitely think you could send Wendell, you could send Zunino, and you could send Meadows.
So, I mean, we don't even know where to send Wendell. If we were to send Wendell, where would you send him? As third base?
Exactly. So
you would put him at third base. Okay.
Be a good choice. You've got Xander Bogaerts in Boston, who's just killing it at third base offensively. He's flat out awful defensively. We saw that earlier this week when they played here. So, yeah, you could put him at third base. And he'd be a reserve. He would not be. He's not a starter. I don't think we have anybody that could start other than even Zunino. You can have to argue that Salvador Perez has had a better season.
I was going to say, I think the only player who I could say by position is Zunino. Like I think he's having an amazing year as a catcher compared to the other catchers in the American League.
Right. And you're 100% correct with the exception of Salvador Perez. Salvador Perez has way better stats. He has stats of a first baseman. He's just a good hitting, hits for power. He's good.
Listen, and I think, Chief, to your point about this team is it's a different guy every night. Here's what I feel is that defensively, this team is amazing every single night. But offensively, like if they could all be good at the same time, this team would be unstoppable. But we go through periods where Yandy Diaz is crushing it, and then it's Austin Meadows, and then it's G-Man Choi, which, by the way, I mean, G-Man, to me, he doesn't have a whole lot of games under his belt, but the games because of injuries, but the games we've seen of him this year, he's having a great year so far. Yeah. He's very consistent, but he's not getting a look because of he's missed too much time, because of injury.
Yeah, he may not have enough service time to even rank in the
to qualify
at bats. Yeah,
and that's the reality is that's why these guys are on the Rays. If these guys were able to put together consecutive at-bats on a regular basis, they would be making money somewhere else.
Probably.
I mean, our payroll is still lowest in Major League Baseball, I believe. I would love to see, and that's what's happened. We've seen it all over the place. We see, the Rays, multiple players that have, we're essentially developing players for other teams, which is frustrating.
Well, I mean, you say that, Chief, but I'm trying to name anybody who was a Ray that that was a star here that ended up going somewhere else that took it to the next level. I mean, David Price,
MVP, World Series MVP.
Okay, of the World Series. I mean, it just means he had a great series.
Okay.
Right. But in that season, in terms of MVP voting, he was probably nowhere near the top. But I mean, and we've had flashes of David Price won, I believe he won World Series MVP for the Red Sox 1 year too. Mm-hmm. But like none of them have gone on and been like, dang, those guys are Hall of Famers.
Right. You don't see a lot of, I still wish he was on my team. You don't see Bryce, the Bryce Harper leaving from Washington, going to Philly and still maintaining all of his stats and still playing at a, all-star Hall of Fame level. That's not happening from here. We've seen some players go and we're like, man, I don't want to see that guy. Tommy Pham a couple years ago, right? He was our best average hitter. He was a great leader in the club. He was a reserve kind of guy that was really getting it done.
Does that dog have a cone on its head?
He does. He had his stuff done. He had this stuff done on Friday, so he's recovering.
I was going to try to ignore it, man, but there it is.
I mean, the dog had a cone on its head.
It's not called a donut. It's like an inflatable donut. It's pretty cool, actually.
Tell Andrew he's got to crawl through.
I got to go off camp for a little bit.
I would have rather just seen him sprint across. That would have been better, man. Just see him sprint across.
Well, like I said, they're all getting ready to go out for this big dinner. So
I know he was close. He was like stutter step. He's like, oh no.
But so Tommy Pham, he was one of the ones that matter of fact, Blake Snell was caught on camera doing a live Twitch stream, upset that when he got the news that Tommy Pham was traded to the Padres.
Yeah.
And a number of us were upset. We're like, man, why? His contract is team friendly.
Yeah, team friendly contract. Yep.
Right. Why are we letting this guy go? And he's played well out there, but not to the point where you're like, man, I wish he was back. You know what I mean?
There's a lot of guys playing in San Diego right now
there's a lot of X-rays out in San Diego.
We're in San Diego.
And really the only one that right now you could say is just tearing it up is Jake Cronenworth. And he was actually part of that Pham trade. But he was a minor leaguer up until that point. So, it wasn't like and you've got it. Every team has those. Every team has studs in their minor league system that have gone on to perform well elsewhere. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been in your minor league system, right? They wouldn't have had any value to trade away.
So the other baseball news this week was they started enforcing the foreign substance rule, and there's been some shenanigans around that.
I've seen more players get undressed this week than my entire life, and I don't want to see it again.
Dude, Sergio Romo, pulled his pants down, come on, man.
It was great.
It wasn't great, man.
It was great because he was so mad. He's like, you want to check me? Here, check me. You could just see it.
This wasn't a surprise. It was not a surprise check. It's not like he was being accused of anything. He knew it was coming, and then he threw a tantrum like a child. Right. Is that how we want to present this guy? Is that how we want kids watching them saying, hey, this is how you do it?
No, we don't. We don't want them checked at all.
So I guess some of my displeasure, I guess, with the shenanigans a little bit by these pitchers is they're all trying to act like who, me? Like I've never, like you're coming at me like and like what we've heard from baseball people throughout the community is every pitcher was doing it. It wasn't like there's 5 or 6 guys that we're trying to catch cheating. It's like 5 or 6 guys who are actually out there doing it honestly. But these guys are all acting like, why me? Why are you coming at me?
Well, you had Scherzer, who was actually called out 3 different times
once by the opposing team's manager.
All 3 times by the opposing team's manager. Oh. So it was head games at that point where they were just trying to get into Max Scherzer's head, who, by the way, has been rumored to be traded here soon, which I was like, yes, please. So
we could use pitching.
No doubt, right? And he is one of the ones that has been accused of using a spider tack or something to increase spin rate, not just to increase the ability to grip the ball, but to increase spin rate. If you look at his spin rates, they have gone up since he left Detroit. It's there. So there is science behind. Well, as a matter of fact, Garrett Cole today gave up like 5 home runs or something.
Yeah. His spin rate is way down.
Yep.
It's significantly down.
Yep. And he was the catalyst. You're just now seeing that? He is the catalyst. I told you Rosarina is not a great outfielder. Garrett Cole was the catalyst of all this when JT Realmuto, I can't say his last name. The catcher, the catcher guy, he, kind of ratted out Garrett Cole on all this. And that's kind of what brought all this about this season, in the middle of the season. But anyway, so it's just been a little bit hilarious, a little bit like, are you kidding me? Why are we doing this? Why are we checking Castillo? He doesn't throw. He throws.
He needs to.
He needs to what? He needs some grip.
He needs to use something. Every time that guy comes in the game, I'm like, it's always in a 1-run game too, or something like that. I'm like, oh my goodness, this guy's going to give up a walk-off grand slam.
Yep.
Oh wait, that actually did happen.
Yep. All the time.
So the other thing I see, and maybe you guys have seen some other things, so correct me if I'm wrong, but the umpires are checking the same places every time. Mm-hmm. Like right now, I'm thinking if I'm a pitcher, I'm gonna start putting it on the back of my belt because they're only checking the front.
If they see you, I mean, it's going to be awkward, to constantly reach around, and it's
right.
That's going to be awkward. If you're constantly, kneeling down to your shoes, that's going to be, that's going to be a giveaway. I mean, there's only so many places that you can put it, where we can reasonably hide it, and get access to it.
Yeah, they're checking the commonly touched places, belts, hats, glove. Mm-hmm. So I did take the opportunity to talk to an ex-major league pitcher this week who currently is employed with another major league team, and to get his thought in on this. And, he kind of was with what we've been hearing about with Bauer and from Glass now about how there needs to be something that needs to be available. It can be consistent. Major League Baseball can identify it and say, this is what we're going to use. But there has to be something. But the spider tack stuff is just and Glassnow came out this week on Chris Rose's podcast and said, I don't know how anybody can throw with spider tack. That stuff is it's like offensively sticky. Like you can't get the ball off. So how anybody uses that, he doesn't know. But, there needs to be something. Something needs to be allowed in order and this is something else I learned this week, actually this morning, that Major League Baseball is trying to make some things standardized with the mud that's placed on these balls, or possibly humidors. If they can get humidors in every clubhouse to where there's consistency amongst when the balls are tacked up and when they have, how long they're stored and all that kind of stuff.
I think each team is responsible for their own balls.
They are, which is the problem.
Well, it's not really the problem. I mean, it's you so if
no, the home team is responsible for the balls.
No, I think each club does their own.
I'll have to check on that.
I think they do their own. I think each club does their own. So I mean, because you're right. That would be because if I'm the Rays, the Dodgers are coming in town. Guess what? You just don't. You're going to get minimum.
Yeah, but you don't know which one you're going to get. You don't know which one you're going to get tossed out there to you. They're all going to be the same. They're going to be used throughout the game, regardless of if it was one you identified as the opposing teams or yours.
I don't know. I think each club was providing their own balls. For
well, my understanding is that was part of the problem was that if the Yankees guy was doing it 5 weeks ahead of time, whereas the Arizona guy was doing it a week ahead of time. Yeah. And then the Phillies guy was doing it that day of, where, so that gave you an inconsistent rub down on the ball. The mud that was holding the ball could be dry, turn to dust at one point, depending on how fast.
Well, here's my thing. If the mud is such a big deal on these balls, why isn't Rawlings doing it for Major League Baseball?
How about it, man?
Because Rawlings makes
it'd be
the way that
I saw a documentary on what used to be Sun Sports one time on like what it takes to get ready for a ball game, and it walked through like washing the players' uniforms and picking up the sunflower seeds. But one of the scenes was somebody actually in the clubhouse rubbing the stuff on these baseballs for the next game. My thing is like, if we're doing that to every baseball, all clubs throughout the Major League Baseball, why doesn't Rawlings just do it? And that way Major League Baseball could, set a standard.
So it doesn't have to be
what needs to be done.
So it doesn't have to be dirt. It could just be scuffed at that point, instead of getting a smooth baseball, you're saying it can, that's because, it'd be difficult for us to sign those things.
Well, it would be, but now they don't know. They don't want a scuff on it. That's why they go through so many balls in a game. A spike ball, pitcher throws one in the dirt, that ball's out. Yeah. They don't want any scuff marks. That is an advantage for guys for spin rate. Mm-hmm. So I don't know that the Japan. This isn't a unique problem, right? So the Japanese leagues, the Korean leagues, they have this problem, but they use an approved substance to put tack on the ball. Why can't we just do that? Why this is not, we're reinventing this crazy problem that doesn't need to be there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Well, lively discussion. How about we move into something a little bit more fun?
Sure.
You guys ready for this week's You Can't Fix Stupid?
Oh, you betcha. I tell you who's not stupid. It's Shohei Ohtani. Showing us why
this guy's a beast.
He is really, really good.
This is why I told you he was going to win the American League MVP. He is good at baseball.
And he's not even the best player on his team. That is the craziest thing. That's the craziest thing. All right.
We're going to have to replay the blooper, man.
I know. Sorry. Yeah. It just happened. So can't fix stupid.
Two things that we saw in the news this week we'll talk about on You Can't Fix Stupid. Let's lead off with Subway.
Yeah.
The Subway sandwiches, it comes out this week, a story that they don't actually have tuna in the tuna fish sandwich.
Which brings me to several questions. The first one is, if that's not tuna, what is it? I have no idea at this point. So I do not care for much seafood. Okay. My seafood is really limited to a filet of fish, which I really do like. Tuna, which I do like, but I'm not eating it from Subway. Never have. I'm very particular about it. It's going to be made at home, fresh from the can. It's that's not going to be something I get on the from. I feel like it's food poisoning just waiting to happen.
Wow.
But what's in that stuff? What are they using if it's not tuna?
That's what they're trying to identify now. It's probably, if I had to guess, it's just some sort of a codfish or white, something that could be caught in large nets and mass produced. That's what most of these people get in trouble with. What was it? Hooters had a long time spat with a news article who they had to change the name of their grouper sandwich. They were accused of not using grouper. And it came to be true. They weren't using groupers, halibut, and all kinds of other something easier to catch and less expensive.
Do we need to do a road trip to Hooters to find out if they fix that?
Well, they have changed the name of the sandwich now. It's no longer the grouper sandwich. It's called the grouper's cousin sandwich.
So no road trip to Hooters.
Yeah, there was a lawsuit.
We can go there, but I'm going to have chicken wings. I'm not eating tuna fish or
One day we're going to tell the story of the picture. I can't wait for that. That needs to happen.
We got to have the picture to put up. That's a great story. Okay.
Yeah,
anyway,
it's a fantastic story. So, this isn't a unique problem, but as to why, what brought the people on to go and do the test? They did a DNA test on the fish.
Listen, my guess is this is going to be the first of many. So now that Subway's been caught, which my thing is, how did you think you were going to pull this off without getting caught?
Right.
And, Chief, I think you said earlier, they've been doing it for 20 years.
Yeah,
how's it going on
30 years,
this long?
Apparently.
My guess is that there's probably tuna in there somewhere, but it's so small of the actual parts per million, or whatever, that it's undetectable. But
why, by the way, tuna's cheap. I mean, is cod less expensive than tuna?
I'm guessing some of it is because like these tuna catching shows when they're doing the yellowfin tuna, that's not cheap. Those things are going.
They're not. That's dude. No one's. I'm not eating that. I mean, it's
right.
It's not Charlie.
But but the mass farmed tuna, you're right. That seems to be very inexpensive. I guess regular other fishes, white fish is even cheaper. I don't know.
So that's what we're going with. We're just gonna assume that they've been feeding us some sort of. You think there's because tuna has a flavor to it. You think there's like tuna flavoring that they add to it? They're like, hey,
they put it in cat food, man. They put it in cat food.
Tuna
Maybe
flavoring?
That's what they're using.
Yeah, they put tuna flavoring in cat food.
They do smell the same.
It could be cat food, dude. Oh my gosh.
Has any of you ever eaten the tuna sandwich from?
I have. It is actually my wife's favorite sandwich. That is her go-to. Wow. Tuna anywhere, like Jimmy John's or Wawa, any place that sells a sandwich, she's going for the tuna. That's her thing.
Okay.
I feel it takes courage to do that, man.
She's brave, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. So the second story,
sticking with fishing, right? Yeah. Go ahead.
Sticking with fishing. So the second story this week is a story out of Japan, where a emergency call was called in to, I don't know, I guess it would be the fire department of Japan, of whatever city or province they're in, over a drowning victim.
To rescue a drowning woman.
The drowning victim turns out to be a sex doll. Like, by the way, this is a life-size one, by the way. That's pretty.
You're thinking bachelor party at that point, So I'm talking the movie Bachelor Party when they have.
Yes, with Tom Hanks.
I'm probably dating myself at that point. So.
Yes, you did.
Never even heard of it.
Wow. How about Airplane?
There's one in there too.
There's one in there when they never mind. That's the co-pilot. That's the automated
doctor.
Yes.
Doctor. So it turns out that this was identified by a fisherman. I don't know if it was a fisherman or fisherwoman. Someone fishing sees the drowning victim, calls it in. Apparently, it wasn't the only person to see it. There were some other people that saw this thing and called it in. So the point of the story is we're not making fun of the rescue personnel that went out to rescue the blown up body. That's not what we're here to do. But there was in that story at the end of the story.
This is the point.
There is someone who said that this is a problem having trash in the ocean, and he wanted to do his part by offering to collect any other blow up dolls that may have been misplaced into the ocean.
He's as not a recycling in the rest of the trash. He just wants other blow up dolls. That's
right.
No, dude, that's
what?
That's disgusting, by the way.
Well, my problem is how big of a problem is this?
Apparently
how many people
are? It's a big one. In Japan, it apparently is a big one. But here's my thing, like to that too. I don't think this is a coincidence, but there is a YouTuber that has over 250 followers on YouTube that captured live the entire rescue.
250,000.
250,000, yeah.
Now, do you think
we're at 250? They're at 250,000.
Oh, did I not say that?
Yeah.
This is not a coincidence in my opinion.
Potentially, but you're probably right. It would not be the first time that a YouTuber did something. Let's say less than ideal to promote their video or ethical. There you go. To promote the video or to create content, right? So yes, you could totally see how a person would. But I don't know how much these things cost. Maybe they're cheap. Maybe that's why the guy doesn't want to buy any. He just wants to collect the used ones, and maybe they are cheap enough, and that's why this person bought one to blow up to throw in the ocean and video. I don't know. It's just too crazy. It's just too stupid all around. Let's put it that way.
You can't fix stupid.
You can't fix stupid. Even in Japan, you can't fix stupid. They need to go be getting ready for the Olympics, not blow up dolls.
Yes. All right. So listen, we got about 10 minutes left in the show. We still have a couple of topics. So in the interest of time, what do you guys want to talk about?
Oops, I did it again.
I knew that was coming. I knew he was going to start singing. But
listen, I love Britney Spears.
Who doesn't?
And I'm not joking. I love Britney Spears. Okay, so this week she had a court date to try to end her conservatorship, which she's had for 13 years. This woman is almost 40 years old, and her dad is still telling her what to do.
Because she's crazy.
Is she crazy because her dad thinks she's crazy? Or is she really crazy?
I don't know. Did Joe Jackson really beat Michael Jackson? We don't know.
Dude, I see crazy people on a daily basis. Okay. And there are people out there that were far less functional than Britney Spears that don't have somebody telling them what to do all the time. The reason why Britney Spears has her dad is telling her what to do is because of the money. Okay. That he's not being just a great dad. He's in it for the money. That's my personal belief here. And I don't know if she's a danger to her kids. I really doubt she's a danger to her kids. I've never seen anything that says that she's a danger to her kids. So if they want to keep her and her kids separate or supervised, but you got to let this woman make her own decisions. Holy cow. This is absolutely no one else has to deal with this.
She alluded during her presentation to the court that she can't even make the decision for herself to get married.
Yeah.
Right.
Look, there have been hundreds of people that have made fortunes and lost it, and that's their right to do so. If they don't want to manage their money well, she can become poor like the rest of us. But
prenups are easy enough to come by.
No, I'm just saying mismanagement of money. If she can't manage her money, she can be poor like the rest of us. If she wants to make bad decisions in life, if she wants to make you can't fix stupid reel, she's got that right to do so. It's her dad should not be allowed to tell her look, she can get herself up in the morning, she gets dressed, she can remember the lines or dance moves. She's obviously capable of function. So I don't understand where they get the idea that they have to tell her, essentially brush your teeth, go to bed, when you can work, when you can't work.
Well, it was a court order, like you said, 13 years ago.
A long time ago.
Well, listen, it did my heart well this week to see JT come out in her defense.
Yes, he did. He came out and said, "Leave Britney alone." Remember that old clip, the old YouTube clip?
Yeah.
Oh, man, just a sad story. How do you get this way? How does it get to this point? That this is even a problem in your life.
Hey,
that's
by the way, another YouTube statistic for you guys. How much money do you think her YouTube channel has made?
Oh, I didn't know she had one.
Enough to where she doesn't have to worry about a K1. I can tell you that, man.
She has made $22 million on her YouTube channel since the beginning of the conservatorship.
So what is posted on the YouTube? Is it just music videos? Or she creating content?
So she has 3 different YouTube channels and streams. One is Vivo, which is the music channel. And she gets like 85%, I believe, of the revenue that's made through her music on that channel.
That's just royalties, I'm assuming.
Yeah. And then she has her own, and then I can't remember what the other one was.
Very interesting.
Celebrity net worth has her at $70 million as her net worth.
So maybe we should be appealing to Jamie Spears, her dad, and putting some of her money behind our channel. Maybe we can create some content.
I don't know, $22 million. Listen, I'd be happy with $22,000 from the Man Event channel at this point.
$22.
How about it being more pluses and less minuses?
Right. We are definitely in the minus. We're definitely in the minus. So that's kind of a sad story. It's strange news, but still, it's just sad that they're even at this point. Bless you.
Oh my!
Wow, you could hear that?
Was that your wife?
I thought somebody was being murdered back there for a second.
I'm telling you.
What's going on? Wait, we've all got alibis. We've all got alibis
that's
right here, man.
All right. So listen, I don't know that anything else we have left here we can do justice in 5 minutes.
Probably not.
I think there's a huge argument to be made over, Justice Cavanaugh wrote an op-ed piece this week on NCAA players and the antitrust that he feels the NCAA has over players not being compensated. You guys want to spend a little bit of time talking about it?
Yeah, he basically just chastised the NCAA for not allowing their athletes, the students, to make money the whole time while they were raking in millions of dollars. And he's got a point, but I think he's a little off base as far as, they're not compensated. They are compensated with A, an education, B, all the different scholarship, the food, housing, boarding, all that stuff is also compensation. But, I understand his point, that they are just millions, if not billions in the red, in the black rather, while, they're getting nothing.
Well, so here's my thing. How much money do you think the University of Florida has made on number 15 Tim Tebow jerseys?
Don't know. I wouldn't even stand to be able to guess because it's probably uncalculable.
How long has it been since Tim Tebow's been at the University of Florida?
15 years.
They made $80,000 last year on his Tim Tebow.
Just in jersey sales.
Just for the University of Florida jersey sales. So if they made $80,000 last year, how much were they making in this guy's prime? He didn't see a dime of it. Okay. Now, there's the whole argument about student athletes and are they amateurs or not based on whether they get compensation. What about putting some of this money in escrow? Like what if the NCAA said, okay, if you had $80,000 in merchandise sales, we'll go halves with you. We'll put $40,000 in escrow for you until your collegiate career is over, or however much money it is, right? Until your collegiate career is over.
This conversation has so many different rabbit holes we could go down. But let me just start with this one: is that of all the college sports that are out there, and women, by the way, make up half those sports. Those are all losing money. Not because they're women, but I mean, tons of college sports are losing money. The few that are making money, we're talking, essentially football, and obviously baseball at some schools. They are funding those programs are funding everybody else. Right. So now we're talking about saying, hey, I'm going to pay the one or two guys on a football team that are recognizable or that are making their faces, and all you other guys, on the swim team, on the
golf team, the track and field.
Yeah, those guys are not going to get anything. Yeah, you guys are eligible for it, but you're not going to get it. That's just not what you're just not going to be there. So really and truly, the problem here is talking about a few people. And you're going to defund, if I'm going to have to pay this guy a ton of money, or, at least that's money that's going to come from somebody. It's going to come from some program somewhere else. I would say on their behalf, on the players' behalf, because these guys do take a risk, especially on contact sports like football. These guys, they do take a risk by playing and becoming injured. And I would like to see, some sort of policy come in place. Maybe it's an insurance policy, maybe it's a self-funded policy from the schools that say, hey, if you get an injury, that's career ending or it's going to significantly impact you in, one form or the other, here's a possibly up to a $10 million settlement for you, depending on, the severity of it and your, draft pick or whatever. I don't know how it would all work out, but they do need some sort of safety net, but I think it's a bad example for the other 98% of college athletes that aren't going to benefit anything from it.
Yep, I agree, and I think it needs to be across the board, even along the lines of what you're saying about how you've got the two big players, basketball and football, bringing in essentially all the money, and then at some school, like Duke soccer is way bigger there than it is anywhere else, and Boston College lacrosse is bigger there than it is anywhere. Harvard's got hockey, which is bigger than anything else. So those you have your different spots that have different income makers, but you need to make it level across the field. Here is, $5,000 a year that you're able to use, spend, whatever. That way, there's no nefarious goings on. There's no backdoor dealings. There's no car dealership stepping in and paying off one guy more than the other. Everybody gets $5,000 on top of your education to spend. Take your girl out, buy some food, pay gas in your car, whatever. What else do you need? Right? That's where I'm at.
I guess to the out argument too, and I think I'm making the argument that you're making is the guy on the golf team or the girl on the tennis team probably could work a part-time job.
Yes.
Like that sport is not as demanding as, say, baseball or football or even basketball, right? Some of those sports, they could probably be a student athlete and work part-time.
Well, they're not banned from working because of the demand on their time. They're banned from working because of what I just said, so that some car dealership doesn't come in here and say, hey, we're going to hire the starting running back from Penn State to be our
grand to sweep the floors. Yeah,
exactly. That's why that's in place.
Well, don't forget, I mean, football season is 12 games, whereas, a tennis season, I don't know how many matches they could play, but I bet it's more than 12. They could play 2 or 3 a week, in all honesty.
And they travel too. They go to different venues, just like the football team does.
Yeah. Well, not just like it. The football team gets on the plane. Tennis team gets on the bus.
Right. So there is a disparity between the income makers and the income losers, the people that are supported. It's a very interesting study in the way our government works or the way our society works. You've got a large portion of people that are making all the money and a large portion that aren't. And one of them supporting the other. It's not the way you think.
Yeah.
So,
well, we can obviously back into this some other, maybe another time, but
when we don't have a Stanley Cup championship run going on and an All-Star game going on, we can get into that. So maybe during the All-Star break when we need something to talk about.
There you go. There you go.
All
right, let's put a pin in it.
There you go. So, that's going to do it for us on this pre-recorded special episode. Again, happy birthday, TSG. Sorry we missed you, but we hope you enjoy your time off with your wife and your family and doing all the things you love. I'm going to go celebrate my parents' 50th wedding anniversary. Happy anniversary to them.
Congratulations.
We're going to go to dinner and have a celebratory. That the Rays are tied up at 4 as we speak. We will be back actually, no, we will not. Next week is the 4th of July, which happens to be my birthday. We will be pre-recorded for that one as well. Because, we got fireworks and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't be talking about that. Maybe the Lightning will have won the Stanley Cup.
If you want to have the Man Event at your 4th of July party, you can reach us at themanevent@gmail.com.
Yes. Or at the Man Event Show on Instagram.
Yes.
That can be done as well. Or
have the Man Event at your 4th of July party.
Leave something in the comments for us. Anyway, we'll be back again next Sunday, pre-recorded again, where you can watch us there. Until then, like and subscribe. Hit the alert button, the little bell that lets you know every time we post a video so you don't miss any of our exciting, top-notch content just like this. We'll see you then. Say goodnight, Chief.
Good night.